Oh my goodness. We finally got our first fight of 2022, and it's between two longtime rivals in Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer. And where do I begin with this? Well, first of all, let's just give you a rundown of this incident, because there is a lot to unpack here. So it's the final restart at Martinsville. Ty Gibbs is leading. The race ended in double overtime. Brandon Jones sends it into turn one because he wants to win the race as well, like every other driver that is left on the field, because this race was an absolute breakfast, especially towards the end. So Brandon Jones sends it into one. Ty Gibbs, he tries to hold on as much as he can on the outside, but Jones eventually pulls away and he takes the white flag as the leader. Ty Gibbs is running second, and he tries to hang on for at least for a top five. But then right behind him there is Sam Mayer, and Sam Mayer just does the old bump and run. And then coming up of turn 4, they once again makes contact, and because the 1 and the 54 are side by side, this basically puts Ty Gibbs in the wall. Sam Mayer ends up finishing 5th. Ty Gibbs slits back to 8th, 9th. I don't know. He finished somewhere in the top 10, but he lost the race, and he also lost the Dash for Cash. Now, to be fair, on the surface, Ty Gibbs basically got put in the wall like Hailie Deegan, but there's two different things. The incident with Hailie Deegan and this incident between Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs, it's very different, because when Hailie Deegan got put into the wall by Johnny Sauter, they weren't racing for anything. It was just stage 1, and Sauter just put her in the wall. They were racing for 22nd, and it was early in the race, so there was no reason for him to do that. In the case of Sam Mayer, though, he gets a pass for that because it's the last lap, and while they may not be racing for the win, they're racing for a Dash for Cash, a 100K cash prize. So they're still fighting for something, Sam Mayer, even if he doesn't get the win, he hasn't won a race yet, so he is not locked into the playoffs. So every point matters, especially after that slow start he had to the season. He's turned it up this past few weeks, but the point is, it's the last lap on a short track. It's anything goes. Okay. In the case of Hailie Deegan, Johnny Sauter had no reason to do that. Sam Mayer had a reason to do that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. However, what happened after on the cooldown lap, and the way both drivers handled this thing, one more than the other especially, but we'll get to that eventually. Immediately after crossing the finish line, Ty Gibbs just gets angry, and again, as he should be, but he basically just throws himself and the car into Sam Mayer, and then right when they are on, and then after getting on pit road, he's hot, as he should be, and then he goes at Sam Mayer, a few words and stuff like that. Sam Mayer is just yelling at him, yelling some insults. They aren't even talking about the wreck itself. They're just talking about, they're just yelling at each other. Some shoving happens. Ty shoves first, and then Sam Mayer goes after him, and he shoves him. Ty Gibbs turns around, Sam Mayer shoves him back, and then Ty just punches him, and all hell breaks loose. So from what I can see in this incident, I normally do not take a sides on this on stuff like this. I usually stay neutral on stuff like this. I usually don't take a side and stuff like that, and I just go with it's just racing, it happens, it's in the heat of the moment. And to be fair, this wasn't the heat of the moment, but I am on Sam Mayer's side here, because the way Ty Gibbs handled it was very immature. To be fair, both drivers need a lot of growing up to do. You know, Sam Mayer, all he did was just yell insults at him. He said things, according to some people that were like recording the incident, that he said some things like, hey, jackass and stuff like that. But if that's all it took for Ty Gibbs to set up just a couple of insults, again, that is not a good look for Ty Gibbs. Both drivers need a lot of growing up to do, but especially Ty Gibbs, because the way he handled that situation was very poorly, very immature. And now, you know, some of that is in the heat of the moment. Yeah, Ty Gibbs, you know, he had started from the pole. He had basically the best car of the race. He led like 170 laps. And after losing the race on a late restart and then losing positions because somebody did a bump and run on him, you're going to be hot. It doesn't matter if you race people, how you race others. It doesn't matter what you have done in the past. You're gonna be hot. That's just the natural reaction. So, you know, maybe if Ty Gibbs was like yelling at Sam Mayer and he just said, and he just, you know, yelled at him, got into his face and left it at that, and then just walked away, then maybe I would be more lenient. I would be more lenient towards him, because again, this is mostly heat of the moment, because, you know, heat of the moment type of stuff. But the fact that Ty Gibbs had to escalate it to the heights that he did, and then he proceeded in his interview, he proceeded to say that Sam Mayer started it, he got into my face first. No, dude. You got into his face first, and you threw the first punch, and you were the one who shoved them first. So this is all on you. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself, like they say over at the West Coast. So yeah, there's also these Kyle Busch comparisons now, which, I mean, I'm gonna say it right now. Kyle Busch, even when he was a young teenager, even when he was like immature, he never threw punches. Like that 2017 Las Vegas incident with Joe Logano, that is a very rare case of Kyle Busch just throwing punches. He usually gets in your face. There might be some shoving, but he has never like thrown a punch. I can never recall from my head an incident of Kyle throwing a punch outside of the Logano incident, but Kyle Busch would never like go to heights like this. So I feel like, I mean, yeah, the Kyle Busch comparisons are there because they're both like Joe Gibbs racing drivers. They're talented. They're talented. They're touted as NASCAR's next superstars, generational talents. And now with this, Ty Gibbs has basically become the villain of the Xfinity Series, similar to how Kyle Busch has always been the villain of the Cup Series since Richmond 2008, basically. But yeah, at least Kyle Busch, he didn't go at people like that and then say that they started it. And also, the fact that Ty Gibbs escalated all of this when he has been racing people in a particular way. Because if you look at last week at Richmond, he said, when he was interviewed after he won the race, he said, yeah, I probably deserve one back. And you know, he made the impression that if somebody ran him over, he was going to be fine with that because that's just how he races people. Well, you got raced how you race other people, Ty. And yeah, it's okay for you to be pissed off if it's in the heat of the moment. But for you to throw punches, escalate it into a fist fight, and then say, nah, he got into me first. That's just hypocritical. That's just a hypocritical behavior. I just lost a lot of respect for Ty Gibbs there. I still like him. Don't get me wrong. I still like him, and I hope he succeeds because I really don't want to see. I really don't want to see a driver of so as talented as him really fail in NASCAR. I just don't want that. But as of right now, I do not consider myself a fan anymore until he sorts out his maturity issues. He's got a lot of maturity issues that he needs to take care of. Also, the fact that he's into hot water with NASCAR, with being sent to the NASCAR hauler for an incident earlier in the race. Also, the fact that he gave Sam Mayer a black eye, and a NASCAR official got injured in the process. I mean, I may just be piling it in at this point, but I'm just saying, I won't be surprised if there will be consequences. Usually NASCAR, when the 2014 Jeff Gordon Keselowski incident at Texas happened, and that was an even bigger fight than the one we had today. That was an even bigger fight. At NASCAR didn't penalize either driver. There were a few penalties handed down, but none of those penalties were to the drivers. Again, so while I don't expect anything to come out of this, any penalties to be handed down for this, it's still not a good look for Ty Gibbs, and I wouldn't be surprised if NASCAR at the very least gives him a warning. Now, I'm gonna change topics here. This could be its own video. What I'm about to say could be its own video, but I just wanted to put it here because a lot of people were really like criticizing Ty Gibbs for this and calling him like a coward for keeping his helmet on. And I'm just gonna say it. This is a very unpopular opinion I have, but it needs to be said. 99% of the NASCAR community would disagree with me because this is an unwritten rule, but this helmet drama of take your helmet off before fighting, it's annoying. That notion of keeping your helmet on and you automatically lose the fight no matter how many punches you throw, I disagree with that notion. I'm not saying that Ty Gibbs won the fight. Again, he is in the wrong here, like I said. I am on Team Sam Mayer here. But it is stupid to judge a driver based on whether they take their helmet off or not when they fight. Like, a driver who fights with their helmet on is not necessarily a coward. I'm on Sam Mayer's side, but all of this helmet on, take your helmet off when you fight thing is irrelevant and it should not matter. And I hate it when drivers get labeled cowards or they get judged or frowned upon because of something as trivial as a helmet. Sometimes drivers take their helmets off. Sometimes they keep it on. It's all about how angry they are in the heat of the moment. Like, if a driver is furious, they won't necessarily take their helmet off because the first thing they have in their mind is, I'm going to give this guy a piece of my mind. They're not thinking about taking their helmet off. They're thinking about, hey, I'm going to get to this guy. I'm not going to give him a piece of my mind. I'm seeing blood. I'm seeing red, dude. I don't have time for helmets. They're not thinking about taking their helmets on because they're pissed off. You feel me? My point is, if you take your helmet off, that's good. But if you keep your helmet on, that's also good. It doesn't matter. Whether you keep your helmet on or off is irrelevant. And it also should not matter whether drivers have their helmet on or not. Let's stop vilifying and frowning upon drivers who use their helmets on. It's getting annoying. So again, to wrap all of this up, I went on a little bit of a rant there, but honestly, I hate it when driver gets criticized and labeled cowards because they keep their helmets on. Like, this is such a trivial matter. Yes, some drivers are, some people are cowards in life, but to judge them for something as trivial as keeping their helmet on during a fight when they are so angry they're not even thinking about it, that's honestly annoying. People just never know what's going on inside of a driver. We're just voicing our opinions. And when people outside that are outside of the fight giving their 2 cents, they say, oh, should have taken your helmet off. Again, you don't know what's going on inside of a driver's mind. You never know what's inside of a driver's mind. And maybe the driver is so angry beyond belief that they just forgot to take their helmet off because they're just thinking about the other guy. Like I said a million times in this little rant. But to wrap all of this up, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed at Ty Gibbs. Even for a villain. And I like rooting for these anti-heroes, villains in NASCAR. Like, I have a soft spot for these villains and anti-heroes in all of sports, basically. But even for a villain, Ty Gibbs went too far in this instance. He needs some maturity issues to attend. Again, I don't consider Ty Gibbs an entitled, a spoiled, like a whiny, silver spoon guy. I don't consider him any of that because, again, I still like the guy. And I believe he still has talent. He has shown that. But Um, my issue is his attitude and his outlook on things, because he really needs to get his act together in stuff like this. And you know, Ryan's 6 words just hold a lot more weight now. Now when you think about what just transpired today.